Well, we got married down in my church down in Scarville, Iowa, where I was confirmed, because that's where we were going to get married down in Iowa.
I wasn't nervous until I come out of that door to the sanctuary, and I looked out and see that one side of the church packed. The other side of the church, 6 people sitting there. Now, if that don't get your knees shaking, it did me. I got so nervous just thinking about that. And I know it's a dumb thing, but it made me nervous, and my knees shook the whole service.
My sister was my maid of honor. I didn't have a big wedding, just a small wedding. And Al's brother was his best man. And then after the wedding, poor Al, because not too many of his family could come. His one brother and his wife and family came from Lakeville, so it was just the few people. But we never had a honeymoon. We drove off and stayed in Winona one night and then came back because we'd already bought our house. We bought our house before we were married and started working on getting stuff for the house that night.
It's getting old. Gotta put a new one up.
This is where I'm going to rake. Chips. Oh, there's some golfers. Golfing away. Wouldn't be too bad for golfing today. Do they wear gloves when they golf?
Now we'll see what we got. Good. I think I'll leave the rough edge out. It's supposed to be, this particular thing is supposed to be rough. Wait,
Al's father was, he could be really, really a nice guy, and then he could be just the opposite. But I didn't know. I mean, they had 6 boys. He had 5 brothers, and they all knew what their father was. And nowadays, he would be treated with medicine, and he'd be okay. Back then, they didn't know that.
I couldn't get over how people talked about their parents and what their parents did for them and how they did it. And not that I'm not condemning my mother. I'm condemning my dad for not helping us understand things. You have to help kids when they're growing up to understand all the things going around you, you know. But he just didn't think of that as didn't take that responsibility. He just thought of himself. It was just himself. That was it.
But he was always a hard worker, and his dad could do anything. But he never wanted to work.
This is hard to do it when you got arthritis. Oh. It can be roughing around the edges. You don't have to worry about the being smooth, you know.
Always been a hard worker. He was the only one when they lived out on the farm that his mom would get to help with the garden because he would work. The others would probably goof off more, but Al would just work. And when we bought our first house, he did the whole yard, bulwark, laying sod and all that, and did terracing, so he was always a hard worker.
Artie never told me this, but she always thought I looked like Clark Gable. And so I said, yeah. And all at once, everybody started saying it, because maybe I got fuller in my face or something. And my one brother-in-law, we was on a trip out to Yellowstone, and we was checking in at this Old Faithful Inn, and the gal was checking us in. She says, does anybody tell you you look like Clark Gable? And Ron looked at me and said, crying out loud, So I says, they say it, Ron, I can't help it, they say it. So, well, a couple years later, we was down in Florida going to go on a cruise. We was sitting by the motel, by the pool. Lady brought us some drinks out. She says, for heaven's sakes, you look like Clark Gable. And I thought Ron would just, oh, God, he said, again.
That paper. I'll get it.
What do you accuse me of?
Lying.
Lying? I might exaggerate, but I don't lie. Yeah, they might start blooming. You want it out of this?
Yep.
Ain't gonna be nothing left.
It's all right.
Okay.
What do I think of him? Sometimes when I told him I get so mad at him sometimes, I'd like to take him by the feet and swing around and hit every wall. But on the whole, he's a very nice guy. But you get mad at somebody sometimes, which is normal. But he's pretty good. He's a pretty good guy.
I have a quick fuse, but I've learned in the years that it don't pay to be that way. And I've tried to better myself to think things out before you get upset. Probably don't remember. He was pretty small. No.
That was a long, long movie. Have you ever seen Gone with the Wind?
Oh yeah,
Have you?
yeah. It's a
Actually, I got my start in life there. Frankly, dear, I don't give a damn. Well, you always said I looked like Clark Gable, and that was his line.
I never said it.
You did what?
Say that you look like Clark Gable. It's
You
everybody.
never said that?
Everybody else said that.
You said that many times, Artie. Now, don't make a liar out of me. Kind of wasted a day then.
Well,
Should be able to do something constructive today. You know what's still cool?
I just sensed something wasn't right.
Litter and enemy. Cool, I mean it's cold.
And bolder about asking.
There's no warmth in the air at all.
John dodged each confrontation.
it's gone by really fast. The years have gone by. The older, the faster they go. And I know sometime you have to think about sometimes I sit and think of what's going to happen, and I worry, but it don't do any good because you can't do nothing about it until, you got to enjoy as you're going and then wait. Don't worry about what can happen.
Well, at the end of the story, I just like to thank her. That's about all I can say.